And now, here is Coretta McDonald, Member of Parliament and host of Advancing the Cause.
Well, good night to you and all of you, all of you, all of you. Welcome to another episode of Advancing the Cause. I'm happy that you're here joining us tonight. So you know what? Take the time off. Call your cousin, call up everybody and let them know Advancing the Cause is on. This week, we want to extend it to those who have lost loved ones our sincerest condolences. We also would want to extend happy birthday wishes to those who would have celebrated their birthdays between last week and today, Wednesday. Happy birthday to you, and I trust that this new chapter is going to bring you much, much, much success. But you know what? As we continue every week, things seem to be getting dimmer. The light seems to be getting darker. And if you noticed, at 5:30 now, the place is already dark. And this is the kind of darkness that is being shed over Guyana. And you hear people talk about it every day, and you're hearing all the oil finds that we're having. But the ordinary man is not benefiting from that. And so there's this dim light that is shining over Guyana. I don't know what's going to happen for Christmas, but we'll talk a little more about that. And so let's go right into our highlights for this evening. Again, mother of 5 and her unborn child dies at the Georgetown Public Hospital. You know, these are sad stories when we hear them. We had them prior to May 11th, 2015. During the time of the coalition, that was minimized, and we had, I think at some point, we had 0 maternal deaths. But now it has resurfaced, and this is about the 6th or 7th mother who would have died at the Georgetown Hospital along with her unborn child. And I noticed the relatives there, they're saying it's due to negligence. And I mean, when are we going to stop this kind of foolishness? Somebody got to pay somewhere. What is Frank Anthony doing? I should ask that question. What is he doing? Isn't he walking around the hospitals and checking to see what's happening there? Something has got to be done about this. And so here are children left without their mother. And then more again, we saw the report coming from the World Bank. And this report was dated October 6th, 2022. And in that report, it says, poverty is on the rise again in Guyana. Poverty is on the rise again in Guyana. I hope somebody can tell us that, you know, this is Photoshop, because this is what the World Bank is saying. And, you know, I'm hoping that we can have a statement, or maybe we'll have the president coming out with a statement. You know, he likes to come out with statements. Just the other day, I saw Gordon Mosley posting stuff there about the price and the cost, as a matter of fact, for chicken. And then we saw the president himself. So I'm hoping that he's going to provide a statement on what the World Bank would have issued. And then more and more bitterness again. More and more bitterness. We are seeing here the rice farmers at Success on the Essequibo Coast. They are crying out loud, and they are saying that the drainage there for the cultivation of their rice crops, the drainage is bad. The crop is dying. And they have also went on to talk about a $500 million project that was started to assist them with the drainage for their rice, their rice crops. That project started last year, and it's not even halfway yet. So I'm wondering whether the monies are finished, or whether that project is on hold for some good. But you can't have a project on hold for good reason. and farmers are suffering. So I'm hoping that the Minister of Agriculture is listening, or somebody listens and relate back to him so that they can bring some sort of relief to the rice farmers on the Essequibo coast there at Better Success. And then we have some unconfirmed reports that indicated that we have some miners from the Moruca area who were working in the Barometer area there. They were taken across the Venezuelan border by Venezuelan soldiers. They've been detained. Their families have not heard anything from them for the last 3 days. They've also indicated there, unconfirmed again, that there was an excavator that was blown up in that area. So I'm hoping that the Guyana Police Force, the Commissioner of Police acted, that they're on the ball there. I'm hoping that the Guyana Defense Force is on the ball there. I'm hoping that Mr. Hugh Todd is on the ball there, because that has to do with diplomacy and foreign affairs business. I hope he is on the ball, and we're not going to hear another statement that, oh, the matter has been closed. RDC Region 1, I'm hoping that you are on that ball and you're going to be telling us something, telling the parents something. But those are some of the highlights that I wanted to share with you this evening, because we've got lots to talk about. Our story says, our topic for tonight says the story bitter. And it's real bitter. This here, if it bursts, plenty of us will die. It's bitter like God. But let me not take you, go too much into our highlights, because we're going to talk about the issues and some of them will fall right there. But with me this evening is a young man who's no stranger to these forums. You know that. And when you see me dress up in a particular way, it's because I have that young man with me. Christopher Jones is here with us this evening. Chris, welcome to another. It's been a long time.
It's been a pretty long time indeed. I'm very happy to be on your program once again. And yeah, to your viewers, good evening to you.
Christopher, you know these stories that we've been having. As a matter of fact, since August 2020, the stories have not been nice.
That's correct.
We saw during 2015 to 2020, just before August 2nd, one Guyanese were respected again across the Caribbean. When you go there, you go to those ports and you put that green book there, no kind of detention. You're going on no cold pen. Reverse of that.
Yeah.
And as from 2020, August 2nd, 2020, Guyana has been on the media making worldwide news, all negative.
Correct. And like many other of our colleagues been speaking out, Guyanese, both local and abroad, Rickford Burke and his team, those folks all the way in Canada as well, they have been speaking about the image of Guyana, that once again, unfortunately, the image of Guyana after the August 1st, 2020 installation of the Irfaan Ali administration. Case in point, what transpired at my home, literally just a few weeks after the installation, in which you have swap down on the home. The area was plunged into blackout. The streets were barricaded off. One would have believed that here it is that you have a notorious drug dealer, exactly, who the international, who Interpol and so forth were looking for. And then of course it continued after that. You saw the arrest and drag before the court persons like former Minister Valda Lawrence. You saw what happened with James Anthony Bond. You saw what happened with Heath London. You saw what happened with the staff members there, or former staff members of the Ghana Elections Commission, and it continued. The People's National, exactly, Trevor Benn. The People's National Congress reform is on record, or has been on record, constantly speaking about the politicization of the Ghana police force, in which the police are essentially instructed by the People's Progressive Party, Civic, to go after the political opponents. You've seen it every single day, I think as recent as yesterday, outside of the Ghana Elections Commission. Now, across the world, it is expected and it is a right of a person to exercise their legitimate discontent with a government, with a system, or whatever the case be. And what you saw yesterday outside of the Guyanese who are essentially calling for a clean voters list before we proceed into any elections. And here it is, one of those persons exercising that democratic right was arrested. You had recently, just last week, the attorney at law providing that service that attorneys across the world do, provide that sort of guidance to their clients, the right to remain silent. And the police simply said to her that you are now under arrest.
But you know, Chris, the funny thing about it is that when a police attempts to make an arrest, they will tell you that you have the right to remain silent, or anything you say can be held against you.
Yeah.
But here it is in this scenario or this situation here where the attorney is saying to her client, look, I want you to say nothing. We are going to provide maybe a written statement, but I don't want you to say anything. You have
Right.
the right to remain silent. And she was arrested.
Correct. Correct.
Are we going back?
Okay.
Are we violating? Are we bullying our way? Are we intimidating fear into people? What is it?
Yeah, no, but okay. So I often say to people that, I mean, even though I'm young, I started my political journey since 1997, probably at the age of 17 thereabout. And during that period, if people would recall, that is the consistent pattern of the People's Progressive Party Civic. They only know to rule by fear and intimidation. And at that time, you had such a presence of the PPP and intimidation and fear that literally the Guyana police force was an arm of the People's Progressive Party Civic. There's a women's arm, there's a youth arm, and there was the Guyana police force, a part of that arm. You had the police were at that time given specific instruction. And a lot of time people don't like you to speak about the reality of what is happening in Guyana now as what transpired in Guyana before 2015 under the People's Progressive Party Civic, in which the police would descend on predominantly Afro-Guyanese community. Young men, just for sake of liming on the street at the street corner, would have been arrested. I recall there was a time that the People's Progressive Party Civic had a Congress. And in order for them to facilitate this Congress, they went through communities such as Houston, Agricola, parts of Orbaistong, and parts of Tiger Bay. And young men, all of African descent, were just simply picked up by the police and taken to Evil Area. You had a total of about 60-something of them were arrested. You had young men who were returning home from work. You had young men who were just returning from the ball field and so forth. And that is the staple of the People's Progressive Party Civic. That's how they rule, through fear and intimidation. Coming into 2020, after their installation, we see the same method of approach again with the PPP.
You know, Chris, this is very, very frightening. I remember prior to 2015, May 11, 2015, mothers were very scared to have their sons outside when it gets dark.
Yeah.
And it's frightening that we are returning to that state. The thing is, we saw just the other day the brutal murder of young Bacchus.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a trend of the PPP before, and it's creeping its way back into play. And so I want to find out whether it's a what should I say? Reincarnated
Mhm.
PDP with a more bitter vengeance
Mhm.
this time than what we saw then. Because what we're seeing now is things are happening, and rather than solutions being offered to these situations or compensation being given, you have a whole lot of not excuses, but bullyish statements coming out, as if to give right to what was done, to make a wrong right. And if you happen to talk about it again, then you have people coming after you.
Correct.
Is this the way we want to govern this country of ours?
It should not be in any country that claims that there is the democracy. as how the PPP love to say it. In fact, in the PPP's interpretation of what is democracy, it is free and fair elections, full stop. Stops. But where there is democracy and a right for people to, as I mentioned before, to exercise their legitimate discontent, public servants, for example, teachers, nurses, police, soldiers, and so forth, that they receive a pittance at the end of the month. Do you think that those persons can, by right, because it allows for, in any democratic society, to, with their union, voice their disappointment in terms of wages and salary, join a picket line? You will have, as we've seen in the past, minister responsible for labor, Joe Hamilton, would be on the television 2-3 days before a union organized strike or protest action should be taken, and not even a stern warning, but essentially just telling you plain and straight, if you go on the picket line, it will be the last day that you work. It is that sort of threat and intimidation by the PPP. So when you talk about a country that has retrogressed, Guyana is a typical example of that. Guyana has, since 2020, August 1st, has retrogressed in many regards.
Chris, as we talk about that, we're going to talk about, let's talk about cost of living. Since 2020, workers have not seen any kind of increases in their salaries. And while they have not seen that, what they are seeing now is every single thing on the market, the prices have doubled. Every shelf you visit in the supermarkets, the prices are 2.5 times what it used to be.
Correct.
But the salaries aren't going anywhere. How do we expect our ordinary workers, ordinary man in the street, single parent, what is happening?
Yeah. All right. So I know for certain that sometime, perhaps later down, we will analyze the specific group of people, because essentially they are groups, they are segments of society. They're the public servant segment, they're the farmer segment, and so forth. But specifically on the question asked, cost of living is indeed a reality. The PPP is very good at their propaganda. There are a lot of smoke screens that you will see that pop up every now and again. Photoshop and all of that. You know, activities to get people excited for a few days and so forth. And then reality comes back. I said to somebody just recently, we had the Cricket Carnival, which lauded for bringing tourists into the country. It boosts economic activities, hoteliers, taxi drivers, vendors, and so forth were able to make money and so forth. But outside of those few persons who would have been able to benefit, there is the larger population. And after the Cricket Carnival has ended, then the reality came back to most Guyanese that a tray of eggs, which at one time fluctuated between $900 and $1,100, is now $1,900 a tray.
I can tell you that because I was in the market 2 days ago, not going there for eggs, but I saw that.
Correct. The gentleman that I purchased from, and this perhaps is a warning to your viewers, and I hope they can spread it, that the last shipment or last containers of peas arrived in the country like a week ago. And the guy warned me that it is not projected that another shipment is going to arrive sometime in December. It may arrive in January. So therefore, peas, whether it's black eye, split peas, China, and so forth, that is currently on the market, those prices are expected to double by now in December. And so he was making the recommendation, purchase now and so forth. And this is not trying to scare people, but this is the reality. Went into the marketplace, a slice of pumpkin. I mean, I'm a pumpkin lover. My kids love pumpkin. A slice of pumpkin is now between $600, $700, $800 a slice. And it's not a big slice.
I made that purchase, and I don't have in my home. It's 4,
Mm-hmm.
and that I had to do 2.
Correct.
Because one.
Correct. And you ask this because this has been the trend for well over a year now.
Yes.
That you see the prices continue to go up. The People's Progressive Party Civic, in particular Irfan Ali, is quoted. There is a video evidence. I shared it on my page, I think yesterday, with him in Parliament as an opposition member.
Yeah.
And Irfan Ali said in the National Assembly of Guyana that the People's Progressive Party Civic would have given public servants 20% increase in the wages and salaries. 2 years after the installation of the Irfan Ali administration in office, the public servants have nothing to smile about, nothing to shout about. And the cost of living, as you mentioned, continues to rise.
But I don't want to believe you that or Fernandi said that, you know. Many of these things are photoshopped, you know.
Could be.
We try to pin these people on the thing. But I want to say to all of us, this is a reality. I'm hoping that the operator would have that clip in there to show when he was in Parliament there.
Yeah.
And he was going on and he was asking, what about the teachers?
That's
What about
right.
the
That's
nurses?"
right.
And the same teachers and nurses suffering now under his leadership.
Correct.
Not a word I can speak for the Guyana Teachers Union. I can speak for the nurses. Not a word. And I remember vividly the Vice President, Jack Sue.
Who's who?
Jack Sue.
Oh, okay.
The Vice President there, Jack Gill, and he's related to Sue. Yes. He, in Parliament, he spoke about the teachers.
Yeah.
And he was trying to reprimand the coalition to say, you need to talk to the teachers.
Yeah.
You need to talk to their union. You need to have
That's you.
collective bargaining. And now at this time, operator, you want to play that for us for 2 minutes? And now at this time, they've ignored completely a proposal that was submitted by the Guyana Teachers Union since 2020. We resubmitted that. We resubmitted that on 3 occasions. We wrote the president, not a response. And these are the people who talk about because we care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we care.
Yeah.
But you know, Chris, I want to say to our viewers, if you look at the trend of what is happening, then you will see directly that some persons that we have an animal farm business going on.
Yes.
Some are more favored than some.
That's correct.
Because while you're not giving a grant or thinking about giving a grant to the teachers or the nurses, you're giving grants to other sectors.
That's right.
I mean, we don't have a problem with that. But if we're talking one Guyana, like they talk about.
Yeah. Smoke screen.
We talk about one people, one nation, one destiny. But we're hearing one Guyana now. But with this same one Guyana, it has little rings in it.
Correct.
And so it's only one set of people benefiting. And like you mentioned about the cricket carnival, we had cricket carnival, and we saw how much monies the Ministry of Youth, Culture, and Sports put into that activity.
Yeah.
But you know what? Just about 2 weeks ago, the Yoruba Singers, one of the oldest band in this country, a Guyanese band, 51 years older, I think, might be 52, I'm not sure, between 51 and 52 years old. They would have celebrated their anniversary just about 2 weeks ago. Not a single dime from the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture to that band. They had a concert and they had lots and lots of Guyanese singers there. Charmin Blackman, Winston Caesar, you had Sean Bowler, who was listed to perform there, but he wasn't there. You had our own boy, Sammy Bash, was there. And so many other Guyanese singers and Guyanese who can play instruments were there performing and bringing joy to the Guyanese, to many other Guyanese there, but not a contribution from the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture. Absolutely nothing from them.
But we've had just recently a young man who has been flying the Golden Arrowhead internationally, representing this country as a boxer, young Ali Cock. And we've read we could refer to it as a terrifying and a frightening comments in terms of the experience that was meted out to him.
And then I saw our squash, I think she's squash player, I saw her responding to that, and she was in sympathy with her colleague.
Exactly.
She was saying, what that young man said there is true, because many more went through that.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we keep talking here about, oh, I'm president for all. I'm president for all.
Smoke screen.
I will serve and I will
Smoke
do
screen.
this. but yet
Smokes.
you don't see the words
Mhm.
coming into actual fact or being a reality,
Yeah.
or those words being alive.
But
But before you go there, let's just play this clip from the
to increase the salaries of public servants by far more than 20%. By far more than 20%. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, what about the nurses, the teachers, what about the police workers, the police officers? Aren't they equally important? Aren't they the police officers, the police workers, the police officers? The teachers, what about the police workers, the police officers? Aren't they equally important? Mr. Speaker, what about...
Chris, I want to ask this very young man, aren't these people important? The teachers, the nurses, the policemen and women, aren't they important? Aren't you thinking now, when it was the coalition's term in office, they hadn't oil money. We got oil money now.
That's right.
You're giving 10 million to here, you're giving 1 million to how many persons, you're giving what about the teachers? What about the nurses?
And what about the police? And I'll answer it this way. I'll answer it this way by reiterating the sentiments expressed by the Honorable Minister, Juan Edghill, when it came to the community that wanted development. And he said to them that if they vote for the People's Progressive Party Civic, they will get development. So what the Honorable Minister has essentially done is conform what we already knew, how the People's Progressive Party Civic operates. If you vote for them, if you are a voting community or voting bloc for them, you will get the rewards. Clearly, as it's been over the years that I've been involved in politics, 97, 2021, 26 elections and so forth, the consistent pattern is that the public servants, the Ghana Police Force, the Ghana Defense Force has traditionally been a voting bloc for the People's National Congress reform. And therefore, it is no secret as to why the People's Progressive Party Civic to date cannot increase the wages and salaries for teachers, nurses, policemen and policewomen and the Ghana Defense Force. Now, in that piece, and I stand corrected, it was the APNU-AFC that increased the public servants' wages and salary over that period of time. And you heard Irfaan Ali saying that his government would pay more than 20% to the public servants. And this was when he was in opposition. And as you rightfully mentioned, this was the APNU-AFC consistently increasing wages and salaries and old age pension and increases public assistance over the years while not enjoying the oil wealth. Here it is now that the People's Progressive Party Civic have received billions of dollars from the oil wealth. And today, 2 years on, the public servants cannot see an increase in wages and salary. And I take this opportunity now tonight, like the leader of the opposition, Aubrey Norton, mentioned just recently. Again, we would want to reiterate it here on the program, that we are calling for the People's Progressive Party Civic by December of this year, next month, to increase the public servants' salaries by no less than 20%, because the resources are there and they all can enjoy a 20% increases in wages and salaries.
I just wanted our viewers to see this. And so it's not what Christopher Jones is saying or what Coretta McDonald is saying, but this is exactly what Minister Edghill said.
Yeah.
If Georgetown residents want roads fixed, they have to vote PPP. Yeah. This is what a minister in government is saying.
That's right.
This same young man
who
was the man who took that oath of office to say he will serve regardless of. But here he is distinct. He's making it very distinct.
Yeah.
If y'all vote,
yeah,
you're gonna get stuff.
Yeah.
And so I figure that's the reason why we have. I'm not sure what is the name of this street. I'm gonna say it again. The same street that leads into Congress Place here.
First Avenue.
It's First Avenue. We have Carmelita Nursery School right there. We have New Campbellville Secondary School right there. And the craters that we are seeing there, right to the front of the street, in the middle of the street, way down a little more? Is it? Am I to understand that it's because Congress Place is located further down the street? That's why Wanajil is not fixing the street?
That's correct.
It's a shame. It's a shame when we want to govern in petty ways. But I just wanted to bring us back a little. When we're hearing this touting of 8% increase, but this 8% increase will come across the board. So Christopher Jones, who gets a salary of $25, he's getting 8%.
Yeah.
Coretta McDonald, who gets a salary of $250,000, will get the same 8%.
Exactly.
I don't get his name right, but Mr. Ali, the installed president, who receives a salary maybe of, I don't know, $2 million, $3 million, whatever it is, he is going to get that same 8%.
Correct.
Now the thing is, and the people who deal with finances, the economists and so on, they will tell you, if you want to be effective, then the man at the bottom should receive the largest sum of the percentage.
That's right.
And as you go higher, you get you trickle it up there and they receive this one. Because if you were to calculate what the president would get at the end of the month on his salary, would be 5 or 6 times what you are going to get, which is $25,000.
That's correct.
Just using figures
That's correct.
randomly.
And
I'm wondering. Well, I shouldn't wonder, because we have seen this, we have proven it, we've talked about it, and we'll continue to talk about it. The PDP are about the 3 Fs: friends, families, favorites. They're the ones who benefit. So when the workers are going to receive their 8% on their salaries, the president and so on will receive his 8%.
correct.
And he ain't got no time with you. So his 8%
It's a
will
good.
give him everything he probably, or almost everything he wants to buy in the market.
Yeah.
But my 8% or your 8% gonna be some $2,000 or some $1,500 or something.
Yeah.
I don't want them to quote me, because I ain't doing no math here, but I'm just calling figures randomly. But this is what the small man will face in the market.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, when he goes out there with his extra $2,500 or $1,500, the prices for egg gone $2,500
So the percentage of the increase is just for him to pay for a tray of eggs.
for a tray
So
of eggs.
his actual standard of living has not necessarily changed.
No.
They just provided him the opportunity to pay for that immediately, and you remain where
On
you
top
are.
of that, if you notice what the PDP do all the time, they give you the kinds of increases at a particular time when they know that their people will benefit. So you see when they bring in the 8%
Yeah.
at Christmas time.
Yeah.
So all of their folks will benefit, because what we got to do,
Yeah.
we got to run right there to make our purchases here and there and there and there. And if we can get our operator to bring this up on screen, where we'll show exactly what is happening with when we talk about these percentage increases.
Yeah.
And if we notice what was happening during the coalition time. During the coalition time, I remember workers got 8, 6, 4,
2, 1.
1%.
Yeah, that's correct.
And so the man at the bottom of the table
Was
got
elevated.
the highest.
That's correct.
And his salary was elevated.
That's right.
As against the person who was receiving the highest at the top.
Correct.
They got the least of the
Correct.
percentages. But we don't see this happening under the PPP. And so what we'll have here is a case where the rich will get richer and the poor will get
Poor.
poorer. No wonder the World Bank is saying to us that poverty is increasing in the hands.
That's right.
And you know, this is what we have going on here. We recall that under the coalition government, they paid higher percentages to workers and a lower percentage to those who were earning over $500,000. And so we have all the breakdown there to show us what the ordinary man was receiving after he would have gotten his salary increase. But I think this might be too difficult for the PPP to do, because they don't understand this. What they understand is oppressing people. That's what they understand.
That's right.
And they're comfortable with that. All those who call themselves bishops and pastors and priests and so on, that's what they understand. But we have to talk about this man, Joseph Hamilton. I sometimes wonder if this man is
Laurie Joe.
I sometimes wonder whether he's for real.
Mm.
Because this is the man who is supposed to be embracing labor. But what he does,
He's a gatekeeper.
oh, okay.
It's a gate. I mean, he would be considered in the context of the PPP as a gatekeeper. He is to ensure, I don't want to use certain terms here, but he is to ensure that those there in the public service don't get out of line. And if they to get out of line, he will come with the big stick. Or in the cases of the years gone by, he will come with the whip. Right? So he's a gatekeeper. He has a role and function specifically for that. It is not to help workers or the unions.
So he is taken over from Rucker Ben.
Correct.
Ah,
Correct.
because I'm seeing this Minister of Labor, and you would think that the Ministry of Labor,
Mhm.
the officers there, they more so the Chief Labor Officer, you would expect the Chief Labor Officer to get involved in a dispute and intervene there
Mhm.
and try to resolve the issue. Rather than doing that, the Chief Labor Officer is silent, but the minister makes all the pronouncement.
Yeah.
We've had so many issues. We got the bauxite workers issues. We got the teachers issues. We got the nurses issues. We got the regular public servants issues. We got the people out there in the private sector
Mhm.
who got issues. We got all these miners who got issues. Every now and again, you're seeing pit collapsing.
Mhm.
What is the Minister of Labor and his officers doing?
But more importantly, if one, and I want to have your viewers reflect their minds in terms of what the Minister of Labor did when it came to the same group of persons that you mentioned, the incident in Linden,
Yeah.
the miners, the public servants, the teachers, etc. And note his response and how he dealt with those when they proposed to have protest and picketing exercise, and how he dealt with the sugar workers,
Yes.
who I think it was a mere week and a half after the teachers or some segment of the public service indicated that they're going to take protest action. And the said minister, his response with the teachers was one, and his response with the sugar workers was something completely different.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the teachers were going on industrial action on the Monday.
Mhm.
The Sunday night,
Yes,
he was on television.
with his whip.
Yes, and he was saying to the teachers exactly what is going to happen to
Yeah.
them if they
If they
decide
go
to
on the
leave all of the union.
exactly.
And these are the very people
One guy.
in 2018 when the GTU took industrial action,
Mhm.
they were in support of it.
Yes.
They were saying that yes, the teachers must stand up and talk out for
Mhm.
their rights,
Mhm.
and the teachers are not being paid,
Mhm.
and why you're not listening to the teachers.
Right.
But now when the teachers are crying again,
Yeah.
you're threatening them.
Correct.
You're telling them what you were gonna do to them.
Mhm.
You're telling them that they're gonna lose pay, and those who are not permanent teachers there, like the acting teachers and so on,
Mhm.
you're going to send them home. Those who are on contracts,
Yeah.
if they only step out there,
They wouldn't receive their pay, or the service will be
will be
terminated.
terminated.
Mhm.
And you know, it's amazing how the tables could turn.
Yeah,
When you're in opposition, you say one thing. When you get into government,
it's
you
something
say
else.
something else. And what is more disheartening is the fact that that very labor minister, when he attended at least 2 conferences overseas, he gave glorious reports to say that we're there and we're working. As a matter of fact, one of my colleagues from Antigua
Was so impressed.
called me when the man was presenting and said, Coretta, listen to this. I
Yeah.
don't think this is true because I've been reading a couple of things, I've been following a couple of things.
Mhm.
What exactly is this man saying? Why is he coming here to lie to me?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
this is a pattern.
That's
And
what
we
they're
get
good at.
a little more into a part of what is their culture.
Exactly.
Because some of these things are embedded in them and they can't change.
That's right.
Again, let me see, we are seeing on our operator who's showing us that GTU is going to take action. You remember when they were saying to all the workers, you've got to take the
The
vaccine,
vaccine.
and if you don't take it, what we can do, you can't come in and you can't.
Exactly.
What happened now?
Yeah.
What happened now? We still not take the vaccines
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Is it compulsory for us to take the vaccines now? I mean, all these kinds of craziness that these people
Yeah.
are doing. And when I'm talking about vaccines, my mind went straight to the COVID hospital at Liliendal. I remember they kind of chastising the coalition got for doing that.
Yeah.
And that was the very institution
That's right.
that saved them.
And to this date, it is the only one existing.
In the Caribbean.
That's correct.
In the Caribbean.
That's correct.
You know, and so it's disgusting.
Mhm.
Rather than have a new government come in and build on what was
Yeah.
there, you're breaking everything down. And when we talk about breaking, look at Durban Park.
Oh my God.
Huh?
You know, the Durban Park thing is so sad. I mean, it's just unfortunate that perhaps the residents who resides in South Georgetown, and I want to be specific to them, South Georgetown, are not outraged as much as they should. And I would want to share that Durban Park conceptualization is not by accident. If persons know the difference between South Georgetown and North Georgetown, and let me just quickly, for those who may not, you draw a line along Homestretch Avenue, Crowell Street, all the way to Stabrook Market. And everything south of that is South Georgetown. So whether you're in Durban Backlands, Tocqueville, Northeast of Pennington, South North, Shirley Field, Wrigley Square, etc., you're in South Georgetown. And within South Georgetown, there is no recreational facility that could accommodate large number of people at any one given time. Durban Park's construction provided that sort of facility, of which South Georgetown does not have. If you reside in North Georgetown, you have several of these grounds along Carifesta Avenue, you have the National Park and so forth, but South Georgetown doesn't. And persons would recall that after Durban Park was constructed, every afternoon you can see almost the parking lot in that vicinity is filled. You see mothers walking with their babies, you see people jogging, you see people exercising, even in the morning hours. And then during the day, you see persons learning to drive and so forth. It is a space, it is a recreational, safe space that is provided for the residents, particularly in South Georgetown, because of the absence of that. The people's, and then I want to remind people, remember what that space before Durban Park was there. It was a mini jungle in the center of the city. And that is the PPP's pride, right? That is the PPP's pride, that in the center of the city, of which they governed for 23 years, center of the city, Durban Park was a mini jungle. And it took the AP and UAFC government to saw the realization of a recreational space, a space which is larger than the national park that could accommodate such things as the flag raising activities. And you even saw that when you had flag raising activities there, it was filled to capacity that even that space that is larger than the national park could not accommodate all of the people. But because it was constructed by the AP and UAFC government, like several other projects across this country, just over the weekend, I was in Essequibo. There was, as you know, the president had asked Regional Democratic Council to construct these green spaces across. There is one there, I can't remember the community in Essequibo, that has been left as a white elephant. That grass is overtaking it. Millions of dollars was spent there, like Durban Park. The PPP is prepared to stand and watch it rot because it was constructed by another government. And this tells you the wicked and vindictive behavior of the people. Now, if they're prepared to do that to a structure that nobody can miss, you will see it every time. If they're prepared to do it to a structure like that whether tourists comes into the country, they pass that same site, they see, and you have vagrants there, the bleachers are falling apart and so forth. They're prepared to watch that rot in the public space. Imagine what wicked and vindictiveness they will do to individuals who are not supportive of them.
Well, Chris, we've seen that, but before we go to what we've seen, just beyond Durban Park, we have coffee.
Mm-hmm.
You remember what they did to coffee?
Yeah, they tried to remove it. And
so,
it made it into a dump site.
Yeah, and so this is saying that these people are not people that we can trust.
Mm-hmm.
These are not people we can trust.
Mm-hmm.
These are not people who should be governing any country. And I'm hoping that our viewers are listening and they're taking note of that. But then let's go to what they will do to persons. And in doing to persons, yourself,
Mhm.
and 7 other MPs
Mhm.
who were suspended without a trial.
Yeah.
And these are the people. I'm wondering, where are the guardians of democracy? You know where they're gone to?
They're gone.
They went on a plane
They're gone.
because 8 parliamentarians were suspended because Gail Teixeira and some others feel that we must shut them up.
Mhm.
They mustn't talk.
Right.
They mustn't bring the truth out.
Right. And you know, I said to, and this is a point that has to constantly be iterated. The 8 members of parliament who have been suspended without pay, parliamentarians don't just wake up one morning and go to parliament. Parliamentarians are going to the National Assembly based on votes acquired. For example, they are those regional members of parliament. It takes approximately 30 plus thousand votes for a regional member of parliament to be sitting in the National Assembly. And then the other members of parliament who are on the top up list, like myself and a few others, it takes about 8,500 votes. When you accumulate the amount of votes in terms of those 8 members of parliament, you are speaking about some 120 there, about 1,000 Guyanese, you out there who voted, are 120 plus thousand of you who voted and have your representatives sit in the National Assembly. Your voices, the People's Progressive Party Civic, has essentially shut your voices out, silence you. So it shouldn't just be taken in the context, oh, it's just the 8 of them get suspended. The 8 of us are sitting in the parliament as a result of 120,000 plus votes that got us there. We're representing you. So the PPP didn't just only silence us by suspending us in the parliament, but they have silenced the voices of 120 plus thousand Guyanese. That is the reality. And we keep constantly saying is that the PPP is good at spreading their propaganda. Jagdeo, Irfan, and all of them will go on national, international forums and speak glowingly how Guyana is a democratic state, how there is transparency and accountability, and Guyanese have every right to exercise their legitimate discontent, and how democracy in Guyana is flourishing. Flory, listen to me. It's like when they at these international forums and they start to speak, you see little birds start swaying around and little rabbits hopping with flowers and so forth, right? That's what they do good at. That's what they're good at, propaganda. But the reality in the country, if you speak to the average man, woman, and child, they will tell you the reality in this country is completely different. Completely different.
And you know, as you say that, Chris, I am also thinking, or the thought just came, that all these flowery speeches that you give at forums, even right here, sometimes if you listen to Gail Teixeira and you listen to Anil and you listen to Jack Sue, you would be so carried away if you're not up to speed with what's going on.
Smoke screen.
But the fact is, when you sit in the parliament and you attempt to ask, or you ask a question, they will tell you, go check the budget.
Yeah. You had a question that was posed by the leader of the Alliance for Change, Mr. Kemraj Ramjatan. I think it was last year or the year before. And this was as it relates to the issuing of trawler license. And this question was posed to the Minister of Agriculture, Zustafa. And his response, Zustafa put in text, in black and white, that in his response to Kemraj Ramjatan is the same way how you used to issue gun license, in black and white. And that response was circulated to every sitting member of parliament in the House.
And you know what, Chris? These people don't see anything wrong with what they do. And that's the sad part of it. Not even one of their colleagues don't tell them, hey man, no, you can't do it.
Listen, and on that note, I think it will come to, another topic that you would have wanted to raise.
And we're going to get right into that.
Listen, sorry, you ahead. I may get beside myself.
Chris, we're talking about mom now. Men on the move,
Mhm.
And we saw the gathering of a whole lot of men a couple of nights ago.
Mhm.
While we're pushing men on the move, operator, if you have that slide, could you put that up first? We're talking about men on the move. The president is talking about men on the move, and here he wants to. This program has been initiated to groom men and to get them to behave in a certain way and to act out and to put things this way. And I mean, when you look at this,
Mercy.
what men on the move we talking about?
Mercy.
No, men on a mission. Men on mission.
Men on a mission.
Men on a mission. Yes, sorry for saying men on the move. These
Well,
I figure these on a mission too.
well, perhaps in the case of Charandas Prasad, perhaps he was on a mission for the People's Progressive Party Civic. Nigel Darmalal has been on a mission for many years now, no less than the former President Barajaglio in the case of Varshley. He has been on the move. We saw recently Rogers in the video clip. He's on the move. In fact, he left the country. You know, listen.
Carl Singh, the REO Region 9 who shot the young lady.
Yeah, he's on the move. And he was recently photographed
Yes,
holding a placard. Stop the violence against women.
Oh, boy.
No, but listen, I don't know how it is easy for people to fall or get hoodwinked with PPP and the propaganda. You know, it baffles the mind. And that's why I said they're good at smoke screens. I saw recently with the cricket carnival, Irfan Ali on stage attempting to dance, whatever. And then the comments, best president ever. 2 days after carnival done, price of bread higher, price of eggs higher. And that's when reality comes back. You understand me? I mean, you constantly say to people that listen, in life and politics, there is perception and there is reality. And once you continue to live in the reality, you will operate differently. Because seeing Irfan whining on stage doesn't help me. It doesn't pay my mortgage. It doesn't provide me with the monies to provide food for my family. It doesn't. How could I be carried away with that? But you see, he can do it. He can do it because, as you mentioned, men on the mission. He has a mission, and his mission is to jump up there and frolic, win over a few persons, walk through some community, shake hand, punks fist, and at the end of the day, punks and fist doesn't put nothing in my pocket.
Nothing, absolutely nothing. And the thing is, you're talking about men on a mission, and we're talking about participating, coming to some of these forums. We saw a clear distinction with how they view people.
Mhm.
Now we saw the president at the Marshall Montano show.
Okay.
I wonder how many people took note of that.
Mhm.
You didn't see him at the Beres Hammond show,
Mhm.
and you would expect that the president, since he's for one Guyana, that he would want to participate at these shows.
Yeah.
Come out and let the people see you.
Mhm.
But you know what? It is clear that there are some people who they can manipulate
Yeah.
and others who would not take that kind of manipulation.
That's right.
And so that is why you couldn't see him at the Beres Hammond show.
That's right.
And not even you saw the Minister of Sports muddling himself around in a corner,
Mhm.
but nobody really of substance at the Beres show.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is saying to us,
Mhm.
Beres don't take nonsense. Beres' management ain't taking nonsense.
That's
They're
right.
taking
We get
buyout.
involved in that.
They ain't taking buyout.
Exactly. But you know, to bring us back with the Charandas
We're gonna
And-
come right
and,
back
and,
here.
and the culture of the PPP, the culture of the men in the PPP, right? If the culture of the men in the PPP and how, as you mentioned before, how their colleagues respond and react to that. Case in point within the National Assembly, Nigel Darmalal standing to his feet at a podium and says to you that you want a dildo, which was broadcast and carried streaming live throughout the world, and not a PPP female member of parliament. None of them at any point in time reprimanded Nigel Darmalal.
Well, he went we had one further than that where Kwame Mukai
Mhm.
assaulted
Tabitha.
and not one of them
Yeah.
said anything about it.
Yeah.
All of them, as a matter of fact, the women there joined and they said it wasn't true.
Correct.
It
Correct.
wasn't true.
Correct.
We had the issue of Berry.
Strip and slap.
We had
Caught
the issue-
live on.
Yes, we had the issue of Naubat
Mhm.
in Brazil when,
Mhm.
he was sent to Brazil.
That's right.
And so this is a culture.
Don't forget Varshley.
Well, we're gonna get to that, but this is a culture in the PPP.
It is.
I remember the issue. We're gonna show that at the end of it, where the leader of the AFC, Kem Rogers, say that this is the same man, Jack Sue. I gave him a new name, Jack Sue. The same man who walked around, in Christian weddings, you walk around the table with the cake and so on, you walk around.
Right.
But this is the Maro. I think it's the Maro
Maro.
said
Mhm.
they were walking around and he collected lots and lots of gifts,
Mhm.
millions of dollars,
Mhm.
when the man they married the woman.
That's right.
And so we saw the kind of treatment
Mhm.
that former first lady got.
Correct.
And she spoke out about it.
Correct.
Not one of them. Priya, Vindi, Gail, Jennifer, nobody.
Mhm. Mhm.
Not a single soul from the women's
Yeah.
arm.
Yeah, and then we question as to how is it that a sitting High Commissioner, Charan Das Prasad, in India, could speak to a woman like that. You know the saying that when a fish rots, it rots at the head. So, and then it comes all the way down. And similarly, what you see happening in Guyana, not only as it relates to Charan Das and the abuse of women and so forth, but even in the police force, because they see at the very top of the PPP that this could happen and nothing can happen to you. So this is normal. Or if you do it, you will be defended and so forth. You get off. And every segment under that fish head feels that he or her or him and them, they become a law unto themselves. So if, like in the case with Suku, the police officer or the officers there decide that, listen, I's a big boy too. I gonna lock you up. This to the lie. I gonna lock you up and lock you up.
And the thing is, she was told before.
That's right. That if you're right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So there's no rule of law in Guyana. There's no democracy in Guyana. Whenever the PPP is around, you see what they do there because it's big. But I think, for example, let me give you another simple example. And a lot of the persons who are on the roadways every day driving could attest. Everybody who associates with the PPP or assumes that he or her is a big buy got police siren and got lights on the vehicle. You go in some of the regions, region 5 and 6, I see some regular vehicle, BMWs or whatever, lights flashing, siren, tinted windows, and the tearing through. Everybody who's associated with the PPP and believe that he or her or them is a big buy, they become a law unto themselves. And it comes back to what I say, a fish rots at the head and it comes all the way down. So these persons down there, once they're associated with the PPP, as you said, friends, family, and favorites, once they're associated with the PPP, I could put on siren on my car too. I could put on siren if the police pull me over and they ask me for certain documents and I am not in the mood to show them, I could make a phone call or I could simply tell them, you know we in power. That is the reality of Guyana. It's we time now. No, and that's why I said to people, let me tell you this. I say this without fear of contradiction, and I say it loud and proud anytime. The APNU AFC government, led by David Arthur Granger, brought a level of respect, a respect for rule and law, a respect for democracy and people's right to associate, to speak, and so forth. So he raised the bar so high that no matter if Irfan Ali stands on Bharat Jagdeo's shoulder, they can't reach that level. And that is where Guyana, as you mentioned in your opening statement, the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, under David Granger and the APNU AFC government, this country rose to levels beyond that we have ever seen during the 23 years of the PPP, in which every policeman on the road was circumspect. When they pull you over, sir, ma'am, and everything, you go to the right throughout. Immediately after the installation of Irfan Ali in August 2020, we saw all of that has been eroded. The fish rotting at the head, and everybody believed that he or she's a big buy now. It's daytime, and they can do their one. It's an unfortunate situation that we have.
Well, Chris, we can't leave this Charandas issue. We can't leave this program without dealing a little more in depth with this Charandas issue. Now, this issue happened a year ago, a year and months ago. I heard the installed president saying a video was sent to him. He didn't get to view the video when it was sent there, but he viewed it, I think, later the night or the next day. Is the president saying to this nation that he was not aware that this incident happened a year and something like that?
Yeah, that's what he's saying. So,
and you expect us to believe that?
Yes. Listen, listen, typical PPP. When one of their there's an issue on them, the first thing the PPP does is circle the wagon. That's the first thing. So immediately when the matter arises, the first thing you will hear, it is not true, the matter is a closed matter, it's done. And then when you get the fallout, because you had organizations and people all over condemning the act, they realize that we can't hold this one, we gotta let this one go. When it happened with Nigel Darmalal in Parliament, where everybody heard it live, you want a dildo, immediately all of the PPP members, including particularly the female members of the PPP, circled the wagon. No, Nigel never said that. No, it's Sherrod Duncan. Same thing they did with Berry, strip and slap. No, circle the wagon. That's what PPP does. So Irfan Ali is part of that. So immediately when the public started to speak out and the video was being circulated on Charandas Prasad, PPP circled the wagon. You thought from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, this is a closed matter. And the wagon has already circled. But when the fallout started, Irfan realized that he can't hold this one. And Charandas had to go. Typical PPP.
Chris, I'm wondering if it were only the loud cries from us here locally, or if it was not cries, but strict statements and instructions given from the international that you have to do something. We're not going to accept this. Now, this is a man who held a very high office, representing us, the people of Guyana.
But how we get there? How we get there to hold the high office?
Well, the thing is, and like I said last week, when he voted against his own government, he said it was a conscience vote.
Yeah.
So I put that same conscience word into the statement, and I said maybe the cussing that he gave the woman was a conscience one.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that it was a conscience one.
Yeah.
And then he had the audacity to say on tape, or what the president reported, he said to him that, oh, that was not the full tape.
Yeah.
Well, I would not have liked to hear the full recording, because what I heard there was enough.
Exactly.
I didn't want to hear the full tape.
And that's the point. The Irfan is saying that it's not the full tape, as if that makes any difference. If we hear the whole tape, 1 hour, 2 hours long, it makes a difference.
Is it going to erase what you said?
Exactly.
And this just goes to show us,
He was still circling the wagon.
that the PPP, the men in the PPP, they have no respect for women.
They don't.
They have, and that is why the women in the party, they can't say anything. Because if you speak,
It's like a typical woman who lives in an abusive relationship. They know if they speak out, what is going to happen to them. So it appears that perhaps the women folk in the People's Progressive Party Civic are in an abusive relationship because their men folk in the party apparently have some strength over them that they know that they can't speak up about the behavior of the men folk.
Well, let me tell you what, Chris. Sharon Das was there. He said as a matter of fact, I'm wondering what are his thoughts now? Because he said the matter was closed.
Toddy?
Yes, he said
Yeah.
all the subject form agreement, all everything.
Everything, yeah.
Todd, you gotta come to lessons, I'm gonna give you free lessons. I'm wondering now, how is he feeling?
He feel
Because
away.
he said the matter is closed.
You
Or a friend come a day or something after and said, oh, there's that. But in all that he said, the man even got the common courtesy to say, my Guyanese people, I apologize to you.
Yeah.
For the behavior, the erratic behavior of Sharon Das. He did not even, I'm not even sure that maybe they did it, but I'm not even sure that they extended some word of apology to that woman in India.
Perhaps they did.
And maybe we have to call them out on this, and ask them for us to see what was done there, since Hugh said the matter was investigated and it's closed and he has been declared by the Indian government free of anything. They need to produce that and let us see it. Let's see the documentation. Just the same way you put out the statement, put that up and let's see that.
You asked the question whether or not you thought, if after issuing the statement and Irfan did what he did after, if he's ashamed. You know any PPP person ashamed of anything? I mean, they're ashamed after 2 years with the public servants and not giving the people them any increases. You think they're ashamed?
Well, maybe
they ain't got no shame.
We're different.
We're very different. We're very different. Or according to the woman in the street next to me, we're very different. Very different.
One of the things I looked at, and I'm saying, the president is deceitful. He is deceptive. And he has lied to this nation. Because if after 1 year and months, you're now coming to tell us that you saw it then, but you're looking at it now. After 1 year, then you're not fit to be president.
Exactly.
If after 1 year now you've seen it, something is wrong.
Yeah.
Because your Ministry of Foreign Affairs is saying that the matter is closed, it was dealt with,
right.
So they're hiding information from you.
Exactly.
They're hiding information from you, we can call for Todd to go.
Todd gotta go.
Let Todd go home.
Todd gotta go
because
home.
He is causing the president to look like a little boy.
Yep. Indeed. You mentioned the men on mission. Men on a mission. And the men folk that were there and so forth. What is not being...
Dharamlal was there too,
Oh, really?
He was there.
Wow. But what was not really mentioned is the amount of police and soldiers that were instructed that they must be there, right? To make up the numbers. I could tell you some police folk who like, yo, Mr. Jones, we got to go to this thing and X, Y, and Z. All of the texts are there. Tell me that you got to go. They weren't. I mean, it's a decision on your own. You have to be willing. It's like a person who is a substance abuser.
I'd be happy if the operator could show us a clip and let's see some of the men there. And let's see if we can see some of those who
they have no choice. You have to go there. You have like yesterday. I think it was in the NAMSTEL.
Guidance and mentorship. Men on Mission, which forms part of President Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali initiative, seeks to give
sense of remorse for female MPs who have been abused.
In the
we
house.
got Anil there. You remember the issue with the Kaichur staff?
Yeah.
Look, and these are men on a mission who want to project some image. Operative, you can bring that clip closer for us. Let's try to identify some of these men. And let's talk about them. Then these guys, something is wrong.
Mercy.
Something is wrong.
Yeah.
What else we see in there? Well, look.
I see the deputy speaker.
Man, these people got love.
Yeah. No, but
These people got.
So it's all about a smoke screen. It's all about a show. It's a one big show. Instead of one guy, and it should be one big show. show numbers and all of this. Yesterday, you had
Guyanese
the whole
men a
thing
better
in the
future by
NAMCEL.
providing them with the
Half
much
of the
needed
ministry of the
guidance and
presidency, or
mentorship.
half of the
Men on
office of the
Mission, which
president's
forms part of President Dr.
put on a
Mohamed
jersey
Irfan
and walk
Ali's 1000
to
Men
make
initiative,
numbers.
was
And that is what
launched
is
at Base
happening.
Camp Ayangana
That's what
on
is happening.
Friday
But,
evening.
I
The
see your
objective of
time,
the 1000
Coretta.
Men initiative is to
And
address some of
listen,
the most urgent
as
problems
as
affecting men
said
and boys across the
during
country. Chief
our
of Staff of the
discourse,
Guyana
that
Defense
in
Force,
life and
Brigadier
politics
Godfrey
there is
Best,
perception and
during
there
his
is
speech
reality.
underscored
And
that the
the
initiative will
average
create a
Guyanese
brotherhood
is
for
living in the
Guyanese men
reality
to make the
in
better
which the
future
cost
for
of
all
living
boys and
to
men.
When I
purchase
think of this
the
brotherhood,
most basic
I see
food
progress.
commodities you cannot
I see
eat.
betterment.
And to have an
I see support
administration who
system.
is
Future for young Guyanese,
administering a
Brigadier Best
country that
stressed
is now
that
an
this
oil
is a chance
producing
to give
country,
men the
and
mentoring
after
and
2
direction
years
that they
of being
need. DPI
installed
spoke
in
to several
office
men
and in your
by providing them
manifesto
with the
and
much
in
needed
these scrolls
guidance.
that you had on all of the lamp poles across this country, promising increases in wages
Initiative
and
seeks to
salaries
give
to
Guyanese
public
men a
servants.
better
And 2 years on, we have not seen that. And at the same time, you see the said install administration is going all across the country, and you see other groups of people. You welcome the fact that they are receiving these one-off grants. You welcome that. You would even suggest that it should be more, right? But at the same time, when you are watching Tom, Dick, and Harry receiving 250,000, 200,000, 100,000, and then for you, nothing. And then when you look at the
You shouldn't say that, Chris. For you still have that big slip.
that too, so person still have that. But when you watch that, you understand me? And it comes back to what Forbes Burnham always say, or always used to say, that it is a sign of maturity when you read not only what is on the lines, but what is between the lines. So when the average public servant is sitting there and they are watching and see a cash crop farmer is getting $150,000, he's seeing that a sugar worker who was retrenched receive his severance, but then receive $150,000. Then he's seeing a fisherman or the fisher folk who is receiving $150,000. And you look at the segment of people who are receiving, and as I said, as Burnham would have said, a sign of maturity when you read not only what is on the lines, but what is between the lines. And that's why I keep saying that this smoke screen of one Guyana and running around this country and people holding hands and singing Kumbaya as if all is bright and beautiful in Guyana, it is nothing more than a smoke screen. And Irfan Ali's one Guyana would be nothing more than fake. Than fake.
You know, as we close, Chris, I'm hoping that somebody, they like to listen to our programs, but I'm hoping that somebody is listening and they will tell Irfan Ali, it's time to have the commissioning of the Teaching Service Commission and the Public Service Commission. Don't hold our people at ransom. Don't hold things above their heads because you have them acting so they can't speak out.
Exactly.
Put the commissions in place. Just like how you put others in place, put those two commissions in place so that our teachers are not going to retire without getting to where they wanted to be. That's so right. That our other public servants are not going to retire without getting to where they want to be. But before we close, Chris, I'm hoping that our operator has that one there where the pensioners spoke about this $28,000. Mm-hmm. I mean, this thing really bothering me, Mm-hmm. It's really bothering me. And it's bothering me because of this fact. Is that the way we show our regards and our respect and our appreciation for persons who would have given their service to this country? Yeah. $28,000? Yeah. $28,000 mm-hmm. when we've been giving other people so much more? Yeah. I want to say to you, our viewers, there'll be no elections unless we have a clean voters list. Don't be fooled. COVID is alive and well. So take care of yourselves. Men on a mission is fake. They don't have any respect for anybody. They have no respect for women. The PPPC government is a government that caters for only friends or families, friends and favorites. They don't cater for the masses. And so we will continue to suffer. It is time for us to stand up and speak out. It is time for us to call them out every single time And it's time for us to go to the polls when that time comes and put our X's where it matters. This is not about race and color and creed. This is about issues, real issues, and making the smaller man a better person, a man with a heavy weight who can be able to live a comfortable life. Operator, I'd be happy if you can play that little clip for us before we go off.
How much more I want? I want more. I like now Christmas time we should have gotten $100,000, not $28,000. Give me it, come out my face.
I want more. What $28,000 could do? You know, and this is real. This is real.
Yeah.
Chris will take your last.
No, as I was saying, in terms of the One Guyana and the different segments of society, the public servants are seeing blatantly 2 years after that they can't receive an increase in wages and salary. And that's why I said the Irfan Ali and this One Guyana, which is a smoke screen. The One Guyana, until his policies are changed, in which each and every single Guyanese, irrespective of race or political persuasion, are treated as equal and receive equal amounts. His One Guyana will remain a fleeting illusion to be pursued, but it will never be up to you. That is a reality.
And you know, as we close, just what you were saying there, I was going to say, what Bob Marley said to us in that song, until the philosophy which holds one race superior and another inferior, we don't have any One Guyana.
Exactly.
We will have no One Guyana. Viewers, thank you for being here with us. We'll see you again next week at the same time, 6:30, for more on Advancing the Cause. Do take care, be safe, have a pleasant night.
How much more I want? I want more. I like now Christmas time we should have gotten $100,000, not $28,000. Give me it, come out my face.
Thank you for watching our program. See you right back here, same place, same time. And remember, hold the line of battle, comrades. Our victory is sure.